Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raganatang Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitangscha Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Jayatam Surato Bongo Mama Mandamatirgati Matsarvasva Padambojo Sri Radha Madana Mohano Dibyad Brindaranya Kapadrumadha Srimad Ratnagar Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Pristayalibi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasa Rasarangvi Bangshi Bhatta Tatastita Karshan Venu Svanai Gopi Gopinatha Sri Estunaha Nindantam Pulakot Korena Bikasam Nipa Prasunatstrevim Prodrikritva Bujadvayam Hari Hari Itu Chaivadantam Muhu Nrityantam Drutamasru Nirjara Chai Sinchantam Urvitalam Gayantam Nija Parasadai Parivratam Sri Gaura Chandram Nama Ananda Leelamaya Vigrahaya Hemabhadivyachtavisundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Yes.
Dandavat Maharaj. Rasananda Prabhu, Ukraine, is writing, Dandavat to Maharaj and all devotees. May I ask, the idea Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyati. Is it correct to understand that our senses would be fulfilled only when we could please the Krishna's senses?
This is not really a peripheral question, but is central, actually, to the predicament we're in and how to come out of that predicament. Right? At present, in Guru Maharaj's vocabulary, we're in the world of exploitation. Right? We're trying to establish ourselves as exploiting centers and then expanding the circumference of our exploiting capacity. And there's, and within that framework, everything we see, we're looking to exploit. Everything. The animals, the trees, the water, the earth, the sun. Right? We're trying to harness the energy of the sun, to exploit it. Other people, places. This is our modus operandi, is to exploit. In one place it says, Narayanam Dira Pasyanti Paramartina Jagadanam Mayam Lubdha Kamini Mayam. Just as a businessman sees everything as an opportunity, a business opportunity. Where normal people do not, the businessman sees, this could be exploited in such a way as to make a profit. Right? A person full of lust sees every opportunity to fulfill that lust. Right? But we're told, Narayana Mayam Dhira Pasyanti Paramartina. But the Dhira, who's freed from the exploiting tendency, Paramarthina sees everything as an opportunity for ultimate fulfillment, achieved through service. Right? So Guru Maharaj will say 3 planes we can conceive. The world of exploitation, sometimes becoming frustrated with that, seeing that to whatever degree we're able to establish ourselves in a position of enjoyment, there's concomitant karmic suffering as a consequence. So it leads a certain class to want to withdraw from that as far as possible through the medium of renunciation. Right? So Guru Maharaj says, the world of exploitation, the neutral position, renunciation will take us to that, to get freedom, release from negative engagement as far as possible. But then the third we shall conceive, the land of dedication. We're not merely by becoming liberated from negative engagement and exploiting tendency, but to enter into the zone, the region of dedication, right? Through dedication, through service. Right? So, but at the heart of the matter, the senses. What are we without our senses? Right? Two thoughts of different Western thinkers come to mind. One, I think, who put it most succinctly is Auden, when he said, "We are composed of eros and dust." It almost echoes, from dust thou art and to dust thou shalt return. Almost like those who say, from whatever primordial aspect on a universal elementary level that everything is sprung from, it'll return again to atoms, quarks, whatever it is. But that we are comprised of eros and dust is actually a more interesting conception, to add the erotic element to the dust. So then one might think, well, let's get rid of the dust. Let's dust ourselves off and go purely towards eros. Right? Which in one sense is not incorrect, oddly enough. But how shall that be achieved? And what shall we conceive of properly as eros and the erotic tendency? There was a title of a publication from Professor Nishikanta Sanyal under the auspices of Srila Saraswati Thakur. But the title really caught the attention of many, particularly devotees. Because the title of the book was The Erotic Principle and Unalloyed Devotion. If they were looking for anything other than how that principle is expressed in the plane of unalloyed devotion, they were disappointed. But the title was a great hook. The Erotic Principle and Unalloyed Devotion. And people are like, I got to read this. See what that is. Right? So, how to go from one extreme to the other, which is an extreme. The aprakrita realm of Krishna is the other extreme. So Srila Guru Maharaj again gives us a analogy. He's saying and based on Charitamritam, Kamandatama Prem Nirmala Bhaskar. The calm of this world is like dense darkness. And what is Prem? Nirmala Bhaskar, pure, dense light. So he said, like, the South Pole, North Pole, with what in the middle? What is it? Equator. So you can say that's like the marginal plane. So from the influence of one to the influence of the other. Right. So, and well, we'll mention, I only mentioned one of the two. I'll get to the second one of the notable Western thinkers on this subject. Perhaps the most obvious one. So when we come in connection with Krishna conception through the medium of Mahaprabhu and his followers, principally Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and the others, but these three are of particular importance. So Sanatana Goswami is the Sambandha Jnana Acharya, sometimes called the Bhakti Siddhanta Acharya. And it is not a coincidence that his worshipable deity and the deity of Sambandha Jnana is Madan Mohan. So we invoke Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Manda Matergati Matsarvasva Padambojo Sri Radha Madana Mohano. Madan Mohan. Why? Back to the, referencing the second person, Freud. He discovered and say that Eros is the driving principle of material existence. It's really driving everything. Right? And that means that we are in search of sense fulfillment. Right? So, how he goes so far as to say that everything imaginable is being driven by this principle. If you could really analyze it carefully and trace it to its origin. And that's why there's some merit here, spiritually speaking, in the inverse. If we accept that this world, as indicated in Bhagavad Gita, is a perverted reflection of the original. So, even, for example, the creative arts, particularly the creative arts, he will say, it is all a result of, it could either be sexual repression or some venting of the sexual principle, and it's realized in the form of art. But really the driving principle, underlying principle there is also the erotic principle. And we witness this not only in human society, but all throughout existence. Right? And the animals, the birds, the lizards, everything. So it's this, I discovered as a child, once when I was fond of blackberries and searching. Where I lived, there were blackberry bushes out in the woods, and our childhood pastime was, we considered ourselves like of extreme good fortune to discover them, but they're low to the ground. So we'd have to crawl sometimes deep, and it seemed that the ones that were more shaded and more hidden were juicier and sweeter. Right? So we'd crawl in those bushes, picking them, putting them in our hats, taking them back for cream and bowls of cream and sugar. But at one point when I'm going to pick these big black, juicy blackberries, I see there's a turtle, and he's on the other side. And his face is covered in blackberry juice. Right? But he's like, and we both, I think I was more startled than he was. He seemed to be really absorbed and relishing that sweetness. But I was surprised. And for a moment, I realized we're both searching for the same thing. I want to relish that sweetness. He wants to relish that sweetness. In the Bhagavad Gita, what does it say? Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra mudrani mayaya. That the soul, it's as if seated on a machine made of material energy. That means the body. And what is it? And each one of these machines, what do you get? You know, an auditory sense, more or less. And someone will point out, oh, there's one that doesn't. But an auditory sense, a visual sense. There's seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, feeling going on. And tasting, some ability to taste and varying degrees according to the species. And what we would say incidentally as subjective evolution of consciousness parallels objective evolution. But what it points to is the gradual unfoldment and development of consciousness or sense perception. And in a sense, taste, refinement, culture. So, all searching for pleasure, in a word. Right? But pleasure in its most concentrated form being the erotic principle. So Freud, to borrow from the Vedic vocabulary, we can say he's putting forth the proposition that the whole world is moving under the influence of Madan, Cupid, Eros. Right? And that's tenable from the Vedic perspective. Right? But Sanatana Goswami Prabhu, as the Acharya of Sambandhagan, his deity is Madan Mohan. So here we have Madan, Cupid, but Madan Mohan, who is so charming, attractive, sweet, alluring to bewilder Cupid. As the whole world is bewildered and under the influence of Cupid, when we say Krishna is all attractive, it means he has a magnitude of attraction that is poetically expressed here as bewildering to Cupid. Right? So, and just a little context. We're talking about the central conception of the infinite, all attractive. The extremes being Anoranayan, Mahato, Mahayan. Brahma, all accommodating, Brahma, greater than the greatest. At the other extreme, all permeating, smaller than the smallest. Then as Guru Maharaj put forth the proposition, what will be the central conception of the infinite? Right? All accommodating, all permeating, all attractive. And so Krishna, the very name Krishna means akarshana, attraction of an infinite magnitude, but attracting how? We understand, say, the power of gravity. Right? But what sort of gravitational pull does Krishna have? It is realized in terms of beauty, sweetness, charm. And in the ultimate expression, Eros. In the Brahma Samhita, Brahma's prayer says, Kandarpakoti kamini avishesha shobham. Here, Kandarpa is another name for Madan or Cupid. Kandarpakoti means 10 million Cupids. So when we're talking about the beauty, the sweetness, the attraction of Krishna, to what magnitude? Saying of 10 million Cupids. If one Cupid is sufficient to keep the entire world bewildered, then try to conceive the magnitude of 10 and seductive charm and attraction of 10 million Cupids. just the possibility should pique the imagination. Is that possible? That someone could be that beautiful? If we're talking about the absolute or the infinite, then that would mean beauty to an infinite degree. Right? So when we say Krishna is all attractive, and it's like that magnetic attraction, at one point we're at our present position, it appears that we can't escape the magnetic pull of the mundane, right, on all of our senses. What do the Upanishads say? They give the example of the senses are like 5 horses, and the soul is on the chariot. The mind is the driver, and but they're all going in different directions. That is our present position. Under the influence of we can't escape that apparently. But here we're told with the introduction of Krishna conception as Madan Mohan, the implication that he can break the stranglehold that Madan, mundane lust, has upon the soul. He has the charm to an infinite magnitude to break that stranglehold. Vidyate hridaya granti chidyante sarva samshaya chiyante chasya karmani mai drishte akilatmani. Right? So, but then how to proceed further? Right? So if we're told sambandha gyan means the relationship, to understand how everything is related, then how shall we repurpose the senses in such a way as to make progress toward Krishna conception, to move away from the south pole of Kamanda and go toward Krishna Kam, cross the equator and move there. As you move from south, or as you go north, automatically you're withdrawing from south. So then we have Dibyad Brindaranda Kapadrumadha Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prestailavi Sevyamanu Smarami. The means to the end, the Abhideya, Rupa Goswami, and deity Govinda. So Govinda means who fulfills the aspiration of the senses. Right? What is it the senses are seeking? I would suggest aesthetic beauty. And we've mentioned this before, the word aesthetikos. What is it in Russian?
Aesthetica.
All right, there you go. All right, that's pretty close to the Greek. But it's interesting to note that originally, etymologically speaking, it means that which is perceived by the senses. And in time, it's come to be synonymous with the culture of beauty. Right? If the doors of perception are cleansed, everything will be revealed as it is infinite. The doors of perception, the senses, what we aspire to see is aesthetic beauty. The most beautiful thing to see, to hear, to taste, to feel, right? The aroma, tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjau kamisra tulasi makaranda vayu antargata swavivarena chakara tesham sankshobhyam akshara jusham apichitta tanvo. We're told the 4 Kumaras, when they smelled the aroma of the lotus feet of the Lord mixed with tulsi, they underwent this divine transformation. just through that experience. So we're seeking sense fulfillment, as we said initially, but in the Kamanda, in the dense darkness, or in the Nirmala Bhaskar, right? The pure illumination of the world of dense light. If it's merely light, what is there for all of the senses to appreciate? When it's talking about that world of illumination, it means the sight aspect of the infinite, the sound aspect of the infinite, the form aspect of the nama, rupa, guna, lila. Through sound, the revelation of form. Through the culture of divine sound, the revelation of divine form. Then with specific qualities and entering into the pastimes. The queen, Rukmini, when she's, as we mentioned recently on the, with regard to the Chaitanya Bhagavata of Vrindavan Thakur, the time that Mahaprabhu desired to take the position of Rukmini and what could be called a drama, a play, right? And to the astonishment of everyone, he appeared exactly like Rukmini and was, we're told, in feeling separation from Krishna, was sitting on the ground, tears were falling from her eyes, and with those tears, as if they were ink in her fingers, she was writing upon the ground a note inviting Krishna to kidnap her. Right? One parallel being, we are surrounded by karmic circumstances. Right? The pull of the mundane. And we're in essence praying for Krishna to kidnap us from these circumstances which we've generated. He says, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara srinvatam te nirvisha karna vivare haratonga tapam rupam drishimatam akilartalabam tvayachyuta vishati chitram apatrapam me. And it's noteworthy that this is before she's actually met Krishna. So there's more than hope in divine sound. Right? Nam San Kirtan Kalo Paramupa. You'll get everything through the culture of divine sound. Guru Maharaj is saying this is being revealed in the Shikshastakam. So before, and this is Leela, but still it is noteworthy. So before meeting Krishna, she is having this divine experience of Krishna connection. Right? Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara srinvatam te. He's saying, when I heard about you, right, I understood through sound that you're the most beautiful thing in the world and beyond. That's bhuvana sundar. Right? It's in this a poetic sense of saying the most beautiful thing in the world. Right? And she's saying, and in that instance, I discovered the purpose of the auditory sense. Right? That's what it's meant for, is hearing about you. And this marvelous, mystical transformation that takes place, that by hearing about you, your divine form is manifest. Rupam drisham drishimatam akilartalabam. And then I think, I've got everything. And I've come in connection with infinite beauty, personified, who is not only beautiful, but sweet and charming. So, sarvopadi vinirmuktam means, upadi has different meanings. One is rank, designation, but from a dictionary point, going further, one meaning I find very interesting is substitute. So another way of reading this is when you've given up substituting anything and everything for Krishna, right? The form of different people, personalities, places, things of this world, right? We're substituting them. From a generous overview, we could say that someone may hopefully one day come to the point of realizing, actually, I have always and only been searching for Krishna. But thinking something else would satisfy me, entertaining, the satanic mania that reign in hell, establish yourself as an explaining center, try to expand the circumference of that tendency, reign in hell, or serve in heaven. When Narada is chastising Vyas, he's saying, you haven't really developed the serve in heaven part. You're showing people basically how to remain in this world perpetually by following religious principles. I know that's not your intention, but that's the situation we have. They're going to obey or be obedient or observe, follow religious principles so that they can live here in a world which, as far as they know, is the only world where you get to see, hear, taste, touch, smell, feel, and express the erotic tendency. So if you need to revisit serve in heaven, that part, and get more explicit about what the prospect or the possibilities are there, and the full spectral range of sensuous possibilities, not limited to, but including the erotic principle. It's amazing what he's telling him, actually, if you think about it. But it's a subject matter that is so likely to be misread, misunderstood, misinterpreted, that it has to be approached so carefully. Shraddhanu Shraddhanusranayad Atavarnayajat. Shraddhan Vato Anusrinayad Atavarnayajat. So carefully and cautiously that the 18,000 sloka Bhagavatam, 12 cantos, spends 9 cantos of prerequisite to bring you to the appearance of Krishna in the 10th canto, and then 28 chapters leading up to the Panchadhyay section of the Madhura Rasa pastimes of Krishna, Radharani, and the Brajagopis. But it is there. Cautiously, carefully, but it is there. It is the ultimate aspect of the supreme reality. And how wonderful is that? Right? But we're told, sarvopadi vinirmuktam means when you become exhausted, substituting the persons, places, things of this world for Govinda, the one who can actually fulfill the ideal of sense expression and all of its forms. Infinite, sight infinite, sound infinite, touch infinite, taste infinite, aroma infinite. Right? As we smell something sweet in this world, You think, you mean magnify that ad infinitum? It would be irresistible. And we can make that case for each sense. As when I was flying from China, from Beijing to New York, and sitting next to me was a scientist who was teaching in one of the major universities, advanced computer science. And we got to know each other a little bit, and I thought, oh, would you mind if I just run some theory by you? You're like, sure, and just, your candid opinion or response would be appreciated. There's no one around to hear what we're saying. There's no peer pressure. Just two passengers on a flight from Beijing to New York. So I said, can you deny with absolute certainty that the original source of aroma has no olfactory capacity? I was thinking, like, here we have the Goloka Champak, the Plumeria, Lilavati, however you wish to call it, right? Wonderful aroma, beautiful form, delicate touch, all these things. I'm saying, can you deny with absolute certainty that the original source of this wonderful aroma has no olfactory capacity? And what I really appreciated was his candidness and his honesty. And he just said, and it proved that he was paying attention. He said, as you have qualified this, can I deny that with absolute certainty? I cannot. And then I thought, aha. I said, then the other questions I was going to ask you, I don't have to. Because you just opened the door, or maybe one of those cleansed doors. You just opened the door for theistic culture. Because I can make the same argument, not only for aroma, but for sight, sound, touch, taste, every sense. In other words, you've opened the door for the possibility that the original source of everything is a sensuous being, right? Who can see, hear, taste, touch, smell, feel. So, without understanding the purpose of Vedaishcha Sarvara Hangeva Vedo, the purpose of Veda, we're likely to misinterpret Upanishadic statements as apani apado javanagrihita. He has no arms, no legs, no eyes, but he sees, hears, moves, etc. So saying, no fleshy eye, no eye in the objective sense, but in the subjective sense and the supersubjective sense. Right? Subjective here, meaning the lower hemisphere of the Vaikuntha world, supersubjective, meaning the aprakrita, human-like central conception of the infinite, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. So this verse, Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatvaratena nirmalam Rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchite. So as with Govinda, the one who can fulfill the sense of sight, of sound, of taste, of touch, Rishikesh, you can serve him with your senses. Now, the Prayojan Tattva Sloka, Sriman Rasa Rasag Rangbi Bangshi Bhattata Tastita Karshan Venu Swanai Gopi Gopinatha Sri Estuna. That's what was, you can say, hinted at in Madan Mohan. Guru Maharaj says, in a vague way, you can understand through extrapolation or inference. And And then the means to go to this plane in Abhideya, Govinda, here in this sloka. But there would be two aspects of this. In the Siddha plane, in the Siddha Swarup world, Muktir Hidvanyata Rupam, Swarupena Vivastiti, that higher plane. But we're told by Srila Saraswati Thakur in his slogan, Pujala Ragapad Gaurava Bange, that Raga world and Raga Marg, keep Pujala, that is worshipable to us from our present position. Guru said we should proceed, modestly, right? Deserve, then desire, not try to prematurely or voyeuristically envision ourselves as super servitors in that Raga Marg world, but rather here saying, Matala Sarajana Vishairange, you, from your present position, you can engage your mind, your senses, your intelligence, your intellect, everything in divine service at present. You can, and this will bring about this transition or purification of the senses to the inevitable prospect of serving with completely pure senses in the Siddha world, Siddha Swarup, in that plane. Right? So Rishikesha Sevanam, this is wonderful news for everyone. That it's not that all sensuous capacity and functioning will have to cease, and then later there may be some possibility or prospect. No, it's rather clearly indicated, but that from this position, Srila Prabhupada used this word, I think he created, Krishnaize, saying the senses can be Krishnaized through service. And Srila Guru Maharaj is further given an example of the saying like grinding sandalwood pulp. Right? We know there's the grinding stone and the bar of sandalwood, chandan. And we put some rose water, other water there, and we're rubbing the sandalwood into the grinding stone, and in that process, it's gradually being converted into its essence, right? Which is the fragrant sandalwood. So he's saying here, by our present position, engaging all of our senses in the service of Krishna is like that grinding. And through this process of devotional service, they're gradually being converted into their essential original form. And Rupa Goswami has a parallel sloka, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadyanavritam, Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam, Bhakti Rutama. And as that said, Sarvabhadi Viniruktam, here he says, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, when all other desires, mundane desires, they've been reduced to zero. You're no longer interested in the karmic path or the jnanic path. Jnana Karmadyanavritam, no covering, no ulterior motive also. This is key, right? It cannot be that we're thinking, oh, I'll do all these things because I will inevitably achieve a position of enjoyment. Right? I will serve with that intention. It's as if in that the reversal an undesirable reversal is there, is that we're taking ourselves as subject and Krishna consciousness or devotional service as an object that will provide us fulfillment, either through chanting, everything. Chanting the holy name, that should make me feel ecstatic. I should be able to squeeze some juice out of the holy name. Or doing some particular devotional activity that I find pleasing. Like the deity in Calcutta, in Damdam Park, is named Madan Mohan. But the name Guru Maharaj gave for the mat there is Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Krishnanushilana Sangha. Shripriya Prabhu once asked Srila Gurudev about like this name, and because he deals with like legal documents and was thinking about some name for California at the time or whatever. And when he mentioned, the Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Krishnanushilana Sangha, he turned to Gurudev, and Gurudev's response, he said, Guru Maharaj is a Paramahamsa. He's not thinking of like what the most succinct acronym will be. He's trying to express the infinite, and in an appropriate way. But it's so beautiful. Krishnanushilana Sangha. So, Anyabhilasha Dashunyam Jnana Karmadyanavritam Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam Bhaktirutama. Saying, what is pleasing to Krishna? Not within the generic realm of Krishna consciousness, what I find pleasing. We think of hearing that, and he was a child at the time, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj and his former Kunja Babu had a son, and he was a child, like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid. And his idea of the spiritual world was, he said, a swimming pool full of rasgullas. And he would be diving there and taking one and then surfacing and then diving again. And so, Krishnanushilana does not mean what I like doing in Krishna consciousness. That's again putting ourselves as subject and making Krishna the object of our satisfaction. Gurudev, what is there's this one Bengali flower that it's a flower and a vegetable simultaneously. It can also be cooked. And he said there's this Didi, she's making a garland, and they go, Didi, what are you doing? She's saying, oh, I'm making a flower garland for Krishna. But if he doesn't accept it, then I'll make a sabji. So Krishnanushilana means what's pleasing to Krishna. But we have a sleeping suspicion, or a lingering suspicion, not so sleeping, a lingering suspicion that what's pleasing to Krishna is going to bring heartache to me. What's pleasing to Krishna is not going to end up in sense fulfillment on my part. Then it is not to understand who is Krishna. It is foolish on our part to think that way. He is, and it means then we haven't properly conceived Govinda or Hrishikesh. Another way of putting it is saying, everything you've ever hoped for, dreamed for, beyond that, to an infinite magnitude, he's waiting for you. The most beautiful thing in the world, Bhuvana Sundar. Yang Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam, Shobhana Krishna, an inconceivably beautiful form. But substitute for that, we're running after the form of the men, beautiful men and women of this world. Right? Thinking, and which we know are vanishing before our eyes. Right? I like that play, short story of Chekhov. Ionich, there we go. Thank you. And in a nutshell, a man, he sees this beautiful woman at a party. She's a beautiful young woman, and he's irresistibly drawn in attraction to her, and she can sense that. And she passes a note to him, meet me in the cemetery, the graveyard at midnight. And this produces some excitement in him. But then he's thinking, when he's at home, he's like, I'm not such a fool. She's just playing with me. I'm not such a fool to go out in the graveyard in the middle of the night. She's just trying to make a fool out of me. But then he thinks, that's maybe how he's thinking, 10:30, as time is 11. He's thinking, what if she actually goes? And I'm not there, then she'll be offended. Then I have no prospect of connecting with her. Summons his driver, he makes it to the cemetery a little bit before midnight. No girl. And I thought, as a side point, Chekhov, he's supposed to be the great writer, and the short story is supposed to be one of the most difficult to write. Everything has to be airtight and essential. And basically, he's telling us a story where nothing happens. He builds up all this anticipation in us, in the readers, and then nothing happens. What kind of a story is that? It's almost cruel. But then we understand what Chekhov is doing. He needed to get us to the graveyard. So the oldest trick in the book, what we're told from Freud, from the Krishna, the draw of Eros, that will hold the reader's attention. That prospect, there might be some fulfillment here. We might get it. And what do we find when he strolls through the cemetery? He's looking at the gravestones. Right? The boast of heraldry, the pomp of power, all that beauty, all that wealth there gave, await alike the inevitable hour, the paths of glory lead but to the grave. And he sees birth date, death date, young woman, young man. And then he starts thinking, they're young like us, young men and women, with this hope to achieve love, to find your soulmate, your counterpart. They had these sort of aspirations, and this is where they are at present. This is where this world and its so-called aspirations end. So he's giving us a lesson in mortality. But lest we become cynical or hopeless, we hear, as expressed in the prayer attributed to Srimati Radharani, Prati Anga Lagi Kande Prati Anga More. Saying, who is Krishna? He is, for every atom, every limb, every aspect of my senses, my mind, my intellect, my soul, my heart, what it is hankering for, he is that. He's the correspondent to every atom of the soul's hankering. That is Krishna. That is Rishikesh. That is Govinda. And the ultimate fulfillment of the purpose of the senses is achieved in the sweet service of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajaka Asatara Sata Shri Shamad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshvidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ju Ki Jai. Sri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan Ki Jai. Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Brinda Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Vimalavadut Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Seva Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. And Maharaj Atula Krishna Prabhu in Madhavi Didi, Hungary,
Hare Krishna.
sending their Dandavas. Suchitra Didi, Dhananjaya Prabhu, Russia. Madhavendu Prabhu, Duty Krishna Didi, Australia. Rupa Vilas Prabhu.
Madhavendu, he's in Belarus or in Russia?
It is not mentioned here.
But Duty Krishna, we know, is in Australia.
Duty Krishna Didi from Australia. Rupa Vilas Prabhu, Philippines. Jyotirmoy Prabhu, Peru. Soumya Shyam, Russia. Vijay Krishna Prabhu. Rasananda Prabhu, Sochi.
Hare Krishna. Rasananda and Sochi, different one?
Don't know that. Whether it is the same Rasananda. It is this.
There's two, okay.
Two Rasanandas. So, Tome Pajmakovsky. After that, Ajita Krishna Das, Dandavad to Srila Goswami Maharaj and all devotees.
Ye prayaso jito jito piyasi taistrilokyam.
Madhu Mangal Das. The reason we have the internet. Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Tapanandini Didi, Praneshwari Didi, Dhananjaya Prabhu, Rome, and from West London Bhaktas, Dandavad. From
who?
West London Bhaktas.
Yes. Right. Saraswati Didi, Lavanya, and Hare Krishna.
And I've just got Dandavats from Sikhi Mahiti section of Gupta Govardhan.
No.
Sikhi Mahiti section of Gupta Govardhan.
You sure it's not Mahila Sakha?
No, Sikhi Mahiti.
Okay. The ladies section.
Ladies section.
Vanchakalpatribhyascha kripa sindhu veva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.